On paper, I had the dream job. 6-figure salary, working at a big tech company, running product marketing for some of the leading brands in WordPress, and yet I walked away. If you are someone who has felt like you're in a job that's not quite right, I think there's a lot to my story that will resonate with you. Or if you are just someone who's part of the community that I was leading marketing for over the last 18 months, this is at least an interesting story. So I wanted to just talk about why I left. I want to share what I learned and also what is next for me. Okay, let me set the scene for you. It is April 2024, and my family and I are sitting oceanside at a beautiful seafood restaurant in the beautiful San Diego, California. We are on a weekend getaway as a family. The waiter had just come to take our drink order, and so I glanced at my phone and I saw that I had an email. So I pulled it up, immediately started fangirling. I was like, oh my gosh, babe, I just got an email from the person who invented the website tool that I have been using for the last 3 years, and he wants an interview with me. In fact, I have the email. The email says, 4 months ago, you sent in your resume for our open role in product marketing. At the time, we were actually sending out an offer to the person who became our marketing lead, but she got ultimately poached from another company outside of WordPress and has decided to move on. We're super bummed to lose her, but I'm reaching out because I saw your resume from the last time the role was open and I would be really interested in talking with you. And so I put my phone down and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I have so much respect for the person that emailed me, and so I was just totally fangirling. I was like, wait, does this make sense? Like, I put in my resume 4 months ago, but like, I didn't think anything about it. Like, this genuinely took me by surprise. And so I replied back and was like, I'm open to a conversation. Let me take a giant step back for a second and rewind to what was happening 3-4 months prior to that. I was part of this Facebook community and there was a listing that there was a product marketing role open. At the time, I literally was like, I haven't put together a resume in years because I had at this point been running my own business since 2015. So like it had been a very long time since I had even put a resume together. But I was like, I'm not really looking for a job necessarily, but this is a really cool opportunity. It's with a company that I already know the product really deeply. I respect all of the people within the role. Plus, my husband had just changed jobs. He left his corporate 9-to-5 job as well to pursue his own IT company. At the time, my family lived in Surprise, Arizona. Yes, that is a city. It's in the West Valley of Phoenix. We were wanting to make a cross-country move back to Texas where my family all lives. One of us, my husband or I, needed to have a W-2 income as well for mortgages, all that good stuff. It really did feel like at the time when we were evaluating this opportunity that it was the right thing for our family. And so when I'm at that San Diego restaurant and I get this email, it feels completely out of the blue to me. So I emailed them back and I was like, yes, I'm interested in having a conversation, but just so you know, like if it means that I have to give up my business, I don't think that it's going to be the right fit for me. They're like, you don't have to leave your business behind. You can do that on the side. It's not a problem, but we would love for you to come work with us. So on April 15th of 2024, I said yes and started my very first day on the job. And I remember that day vividly because it's my son's birthday. I was excited and nervous, and this company was fully remote. Even though I was working for one brand, I didn't really know the ins and outs that there was a massive tech company that owned multiple brands within the org. So let me kind of give you the breakdown. There is a private equity company that owns a pretty big hosting company that owns a software division, which have about 9 different brands underneath it. And I was a product marketing manager for one of those brands. Coming on board, it was kind of like a shocking experience because I thought I was just going to work for this one company, and come to find out it was a much bigger organization. At the time, we were operating kind of like independent brand. So like we would have a team of about really 6 key decision makers that were like day to day moving the marketing initiatives forward. So we were working with the lead developer who invented the product, 2 product owners, myself, the marketing lead, as well as a marketing generalist, and also a project manager. We would of course include so many other departments as well beyond the 6 of us. There's an incredible team of developers and customer success and support people on the team as well. But day to day, it was really like the 6 of us. Every week we're having meetings and thinking about how we drive initiatives forward. And as we operated as our own like independent brand, we would sometimes come together with other sister brands within the organization for shared initiatives. We would share design resources. If someone needed support on landing page development or graphic design, that would all be in the shared resource. That wasn't like done necessarily within our isolated team. And we would also come together as other marketers who were managing other brands. And so there would be multiple product marketing managers, and we would have calls together and talk about, what are you guys doing for this one campaign that we run every summer? We need to be in alignment. The messaging needs to be similar. Things like that. So it was kind of funny because it was like, even though I work for this big giant company, day to day kind of felt like working at a startup or working with a small business, because it was really just the six of us being able to work closely together, build a lot of trust, drive initiatives forward, and every now and again we would come together with the greater corporate entity. So day to day, let's talk about some of the responsibilities that I had. I was in charge of a lot of content creation. So those are things like making YouTube videos, recording podcasts, blog posts, social media content. We did weekly newsletters that went out. And there were really two big campaigns that we did. There was a summer sale where we came in alignment with other brands within our org, and everybody had the same sale, and we were trying to do cross promotions and things like that. And then we had our basically Super Bowl, which is Black Friday, Cyber Monday. If you have never worked in product marketing in the WordPress space before, that is a very big deal. We also had a lot of community events that we would do, like a virtual conference. And myself and the other marketing generalists were in charge of like all of the coordination for that. There's a number of other duties that I'm not mentioning or remembering off the top of my head. Fast forward to February 2025, and my boss says he wants to run something by me. So we hop on a call. He says, how would you feel about going from marketing one brand to marketing 4 products? Ultimately, I said yes, and got a promotion to senior product marketing manager, where I was doing more than one brand, and I had a team of people underneath me. There was one part-time generalist and one full-time generalist, and we had an open seat to be hired for a 3rd generalist, because there's a lot of work to be getting done for all of these brands to thrive. The reason for this shift was kind of a marketing reorg that was happening, so that it wasn't so siloed for each brand, but one person could be driving strategy and having the generalist do more of the execution for multiple brands. And so it was just a nice way for the company to kind of have a little bit more oversight and some more shared resources. At the time that I got that first promotion, it was such an exciting time. I had never been complimented more in my life than I ever had from all of my coworkers. Everybody was telling me I was the perfect fit for this new job and these new responsibilities. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm genuinely saying, like, I've never in my life received that many compliments at any one given time. It literally felt like I was love bombed. So of course it made sense to take that role when I was getting all of this kind of positive feedback. So in February, as soon as I took on the promotion, I basically had to put all my other brands on maintenance mode, because we went to go launch a brand new product. And it was a hybrid of a hosting option with software all packaged together into one offer. We hit the ground running, and we got an MVP off the ground. That stands for minimum viable product. And so we had to basically scrap what was done before and start over. And we had to launch the brand in, I think it was 4 or 6 weeks, which is unheard of. Like, you need so much more time than that. But we were pushing, we were just running at that point. And so once that officially got launched and things started settling down, and I got into my actual role of like the day-to-day normal stuff of like, okay, now you're really managing 4 brands. That is when I really realized that this is a lot to handle. Mind you, at the time, I am running 4 brands at my corporate job, but I also still have my own website design business that I'm still doing on weekends, on nights. I'm taking on customer projects. While those were lessened than what I was doing when I was doing it full time, they were still happening. Plus, I was still trying to launch new products for our child themes and trying to stay on top of my own email marketing, which honestly, that was one of the first things that fell to the wayside. But it was a lot. It was basically like I was juggling 5 brands at one time. From the outside looking in, other people, other designers within the community that I have come to have great relationships with, they're like, man, you look like you're rocking it. And deep down, as I'm juggling 5 different brands all at one time, I am struggling. Like, I am genuinely like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. There would be nights where I would cry myself to sleep. Like, it was just an immense amount of pressure to hold on myself, because I am someone who loves to do everything at a high level of excellence. And so sometimes that means that I would give my all to others at the expense of my own mental health. And I actually had a mentor tell me this recently, and I think this is something that like you need to like write down on a sticky note. If you are ever looking at someone else's life thinking, wow, they have it all together, that means that you just don't have a close enough relationship with them. As we are growing businesses, or we're in our corporate jobs, we're looking at other people and how they are winning, because the marketing formula is express empathy and authority. So you have to express your authority for people to build trust with you. And so people are like flashing their authority all of the time, and you're thinking, well, wow, they have their lives together. But like under the surface, deep down, if you had an actual genuine relationship with that person, you might see their flaws or where they're struggling. So just keep that in mind as you compare yourselves and as you're looking at people's news online. So let's talk about why I ultimately decided to quit. Just after we got that MVP brand launched, we kind of hit some roadblocks. We had just launched this MVP product, and we were ready to start on a whole new set of initiatives and campaigns that were really going to move the needle forward for that brand and all the other brands that I was working on. But we had a hiring freeze. And in that hiring freeze, I was unable to hire that third generalist who was supposed to be on my team. So it was me, the lead marketer, who was really supposed to be driving strategy primarily. It was one full-time generalist and a part-time generalist on my team. Again, marketing for brands. And it was a lot. Plus, we also had some shared resource teams as well, where we would go get other tasks done. And in that process, we would hit roadblocks too. There would be prioritization issues, or we just couldn't get certain things done. It was just kind of like a bottleneck in that business. Every company has challenges. And so there's nothing new there, but it was kind of a consistent thing. And we knew that there were greater leadership conversations that were happening that were just kind of putting a whole chunk of work on hold for us. And so I was just eager to have answers. Then we were told later in summer as well that they were going to make additional reorganization changes specifically to the marketing team so that we could become more of one unified company instead of each company operating as an independent brand, like siloed in a way, which made a lot of sense. I was very optimistic about how that was going to be approached. I was confident that the generalists that I needed on my team would be unfrozen, that the resources that we were all sharing would have a better workflow. I was optimistic that we could kind of unblock those things that were kind of in our way. The deeper that we went into the reorganization process, I was learning that I was going to be moved away from the product that I cared the most about and put more into an enterprise level role, which is such a high compliment that they would want me to do that. But the higher I climbed the corporate ladder, the further and further away I got from solving the problems that mattered the most to me. Caring about the ICP for certain enterprise level customers who cared more about like the hosting side of things just wasn't something that I was super passionate about. However, the thing that I was passionate about was helping creators, small business owners, agency owners, build thriving businesses online. So I was genuinely asking myself, is the paycheck worth it if you're not going to get to solve the problems you care about most? And if there's this level of uncertainty in like day-to-day role and responsibility, or I can go back to doing my website design business, which is still thriving. It wasn't revenue-wise quite as high as what it was whenever I was working on it full-time, but it's still doing really well considering I was putting about 10 hours a week into it. So I was thinking with all of my newfound expertise that I've acquired over the last 18 months, if I went all in on this business again, I wouldn't have a ceiling on my income. So yeah, it's a little bit riskier to take that step, but could lead to infinite more rewards than if I had stayed here. Plus, I got to go back to solving the problems that I cared about, and I'd have a lot more certainty, or at least the same amount of uncertainty that I was going to have kind of in this, like, what am I doing in this new role type of an environment. So ultimately, I decided with my husband's support and a lot of time with Jesus that I was going to take a leap of faith and start my own personal brand, get back to helping customers with website design, get back to building child themes for WordPress using the website tool that I've been designing websites with all along. So I'm really excited. So that is what is next for me in the next chapter of my life. So let's talk about what I learned along the way. And this is not going to be an exhaustive list, so let me just hit you with maybe my top few nuggets. The first is that success on paper does not lead to fulfillment. In my situation, I don't think that I ever took that job and said, I hope that one day I'll be in corporate enterprise marketing. That never was my intention. But along the way, I was a good steward and I said yes to opportunities when they were presented to me. And at some point along the way, I realized that all of the opportunities that I had said yes to were kind of veering me off to a different trajectory. And this is where I wanted to be. And so ultimately, my decision to quit was to get myself back into alignment with everything that I felt like I needed. I think it's okay to say yes to those opportunities and pursue that life. And also, if your life ever gets out of alignment with where your purpose is or what problems that you want to be solving is, it's okay to change. You can change your mind. If you're in a job that you don't like, you don't have to be there. There are so many ways that you can make money online these days and technically not even have to have a corporate job. Although I understand that the corporate life can provide benefits and stability, W-2 income, matching 401k. Of course, there are perks to corporate and you may not want to be a business owner yourself, and that's okay and totally fine. But no matter what, whatever your idea of success is, doesn't always mean that you will feel fulfilled when you have it. The second lesson I will say is that clarity beats chaos. And I can genuinely say that the best leaders and the teams that thrived the most were the ones that operated from a place of clarity, where there was clear communication, clear vision, clear responsibilities, clear ownership. If those things are present, there's nothing that can stop the team that you are a part of. For those leaders that thrive in chaos or create chaos, can't be a part of those teams. There is something in your life or in your work that it feels chaotic. Just ask yourself, how can I bring some clarity to this? And I think that the faster that you can move from a state of chaos into a state of clarity, I think that you're going to find a much happier life for sure. The third and final lesson that I will say is that you can choose to change. You don't have to stay stuck. No matter what circumstance you're in right now, if it doesn't feel in alignment with what you should be doing in your life for your purpose, to serve God, to love your family well, whatever those values are for you, then I think you should consider alternative ways to pursue change. Now, I understand that there are these little carrots that are dangled in front of you as you are living out your life. For instance, in the corporate world, if you are on a bonus structure, they might have a quarterly bonus where you're thinking, well, I'm going to stay till the quarterly bonus so I can get my paycheck. And then when I get my paycheck, I'm going to leave. There's always that I'm going to wait until this situation happens. And if it doesn't, then I'll change. But then there's always you move that next benchmark again and again and again. And I just think that if you're in that circumstance, pray about it, but also move towards change. And I understand a lot of people don't want to change because that requires a lot of growth. To be honest with you, this requires a lot of growth. I took a leap of faith to make this change. It's not like my business is making the exact same amount of money that my corporate salary was paying me, but I believe in myself and have a support system in place to make sure that bills are covered and things like that. It seems like the upside, I'm willing to bet on myself more than I'm willing to stay in a job that has a cap on it, that has limitations to what I want to work towards on a day-to-day basis. You can choose to change. You don't have to stay stuck, but there will be growth required, and growth is often very uncomfortable. So now I imagine one question you might have is, what tool are you going to be using to build websites moving forward? Are you going to still support the company that you just left, or are you going to be doing something different? The answer is yes. Ultimately, I have the product expertise and knowledge in the tool. Plus, I also think it is the best tool for my ideal customers to get the best results on WordPress. And the customers I typically work with are service providers, content creators, and also product sellers who usually are trying to compete for more national keywords. I do a few local business sites every now and again, but usually it's for friends or family, things like that. Just the marketing strategies are totally different when you're trying to rank for something local near me compared to trying to attract customers from all around the world or all around the United States. So that's my answer. Yes, I deeply believe in the product. I love the team of people who are still there. Just because I have decided that the job path wasn't right for me doesn't mean that it means anything bad about the product. I wholeheartedly love all of the people behind the brand and I wish them all of the success. In fact, I'll be cheering them on and also continuing to support their business moving forward, even though it'll just be for my own capacity. If I can ever help you build your dream website online, you can find me at DIYdreamsite.com or katieboykin.com. And I'm also starting all of the socials, so come along for the journey. I'll be documenting a lot of what it's like, business lessons I'm learning, behind the scenes of client projects, tips and tutorials on how to build certain things on your website so you can do it yourself. I've got a lot to share, and I can't wait to see how I can continue to support you and help you build the website of your dreams. If there's any way that I can be of support to you, I would love to help.